Hello and welcome. I am Lady Calamere, and this is my 27th video presentation. And I am going to be discussing Chamunda and who she is, and why you may want to call on this great Hindu goddess. Chamunda is a very powerful goddess, and she gets her name from the two demons that she slayed and gave to the Devi goddess Durga, Chanda and Munda, not to be confused with Chandra, the moon god. She slayed the two demons, Chanda Munda. Chanda is a ferocious spirit, and Munda meant head. But she offered the heads to Durga, and Durga was pleased. So there are different stories about Chamunda depending on where you're reading it from. So Chamunda is paired with the god Rudra. That is Shiva. That people have call him Shiva. Rudra is a ferocious form of Shiva. So we have this. Why do we have this with us, Kali? Well, this is actually Chamunda. And Chamunda has, depending on who you talk to, is an aspect of Kali. Chamunda is also seen as an aspect of Durga. And in some literature, scriptures, that she is a form of Parvati. However, many feel that she is her own deity and that she was later adopted into Hinduism. So Chamunda is a wrathful deity. Her colors are red and black. The animals associated with Chamunda are the scorpion, the snake, the owl, and jackal. She is said to not only hang out with them, but her vehicle that she travels on is an owl, and she holds a banner that is an owl. She hangs out with ghosts and goblins and all kinds of spirits. She is to be found in places of death, like the cremation ground, and here in the West, cemeteries. She is also said to hang out around fig trees, in which the fig tree is her tree. She is said to have 4 arms, 6 arms, 10 arms, and 12 arms. If she is black, if she has hair, it is black. And sometimes even matted and into a crown. Other times it is that of fire. She is emaciated. Every bone can be seen in her body. Her breasts are hanging and dry. Her eyes are popping out. And sometimes they're even red. Her teeth, sometimes she's seen with teeth, other times sometimes with missing teeth, but it's sometimes has blood. Like the goddess Rakta Dangari, which means bloody teeth. And you can look her up. She's like another goddess, a ferocious goddess. She's also said to stand upon a corpse. Here she's eating it, for she feasts upon the dead. But other times it's like a demon that she has conquered, and she stands on its back. She is one of the ferocious goddesses, and she is counted among the 7 matrikas, the Sapta matrikas, and she's said to be the head, the chief matrika. And she even, like other matrikas like to be sometimes worshiped together. She likes to be also worshipped alone as well. And you can see the reason why I have this tarot deck is because this beautiful card comes from this. She's also, there's different, it depends on the system, because where she comes from, she's also said to be one of the 64 yoginis, and they are the daughters of the 8 matrikas, the Asta matrikas. And the yogini in modern times, it's any woman who has the knowledge of yoga. But back in the day, it wasn't just that. It was someone who had great power, mastered yoga and tantra. So she was also a yogini, but also a dakini. And a dakini meant like sky, who flies in the sky, sky dancer. And what else do we know that flies in the sky? Well, always witches were portrayed on their brooms, the women witches, and flying in the sky and cackling. And in fact, that's what she does. And she also cackles like a witch. She has that cackle. So the dakini could be very fierce. Sometimes they were very scary, and they also practice different types of magic, and including black magic. Well, put in parentheses because black magic has no color, but we're not going to get into that right now. So I have skulls around her because she does deal with the dead, and she does deal with death, and she is considered a personification of death. So where was she found? If you look at the writings of Sir Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandakar, not to be confused with Sri Ramakrishna Ma. Sir Ramakrishna. So I'm sorry. Sir, he was also a doctor. He was a PhD doctor. So he was a Sir. There was a Dr. Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandakar. He was also the viceroy chancellor, a viceroy of what is it called? Bombay University. He died in 1925 at the age of 88, and he was an Orientalist. He did Oriental studies, he did Indian studies. He was also about social reformation, in which he was against childhood marriage. He was for widows to become married again. He was an advocate for that, so that they wouldn't stay widows if they wished to marry again. And he was also against the caste system. He thought, for him it was abominable. So some people would find that good, some people would find that bad. I'm not going to get into that. Now, he wrote about Chamunda, and he actually used the words, not my words, savages, because they sacrificed animals, and at one time even humans sacrifices. And they were in central India. They were the Munda people, and she was found in Vindhya mountains in central India. And yes, human sacrifice has been abolished, but she was given blood offerings. And the animals that were sacrificed to her were definitely sheep. Probably male sheep. So she was worshipped in central India, and later on absorbed into Hinduism. And she's also in some Buddhist tradition, she's look, she's honored. But also in Jainism, but they do not, in Jainism, those who worship Chamunda will not give her any meat or blood sacrifices. She's giving fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts. None, no wine either. So the things like that, and she's also a goddess of the martial arts. So, and the martial arts like Kalaripayattu. Kalaripayattu. She's, her names are many. She's Chamunda, which shows her. Chandi means the ferocious. So Chamunda, we see that she's ferocious. Chamundeshwari and Chamundi. She's also known to wear a garland of skulls, the Mundamala. So it's either a garland of skulls or sometimes a garland of severed heads, in which you can see, probably this is what we're doing here. And this is, there's different images of her. And you can even see in the more nice, cleaned up images, you could still see she ain't playing around. She has a trishul. Here she has like an offering pot, probably full of blood. And we have a severed head here of this is Munda and Chunda. So you see that she's going to sacrifice him, and she's going to kill him, and not sacrifice but kill him. But here she has a weapon that severs the ego. And she, of course, she's more cleaned up, where she's actually wearing some clothing, a little bit of clothing, and sometimes she's wearing a tiger skin skirt. Here we see she's holding a lotus and a bowl of blood, a sword, and she's eating the dead. And we see the third eye, but the third eye is red and fire. Now her place on the compass is southwest. That's where she's placed. Chamunda is honored towards the southwest, and people usually will build altars to her there or face that way. That's actually the best place, and her time is definitely nighttime. She loves the night. I mean, you can worship her during the day, but she loves the night. She's a night deity. Now the matrikas, some of them were considered, depending on the tradition, fierce. And some people would say, if you have children, don't worship the matrikas. But then I heard people worshiping the matrikas with children. And that they, especially her, is the bringer of plagues and death and destruction. Oh, why would you want to worship her then? Well, there's many reasons. She's also a goddess of protection, and she protects her devotees. And she's also used for cursing and binding and destroying one's enemy. And yes, she can bring death and destruction and plagues and total ruination to those who would hurt you. She's actually liberating, because in patriarchal times, look at this. But she's freeing. A goddess who, for women that have been subjugated and told they are not to be free. Here we see a goddess, ferocious. We see her naked. We see her angry. We see her sexual. And for that is liberation. And she will also help those with eating disorders. Anorexia. Some people have said that she's used for anorexia. And those who are overeating, as we see that she is emaciated. She's actually, her skin, when she drinks blood, they say that actually sometimes that's when she's red skin, like her complexion will actually become ruddy, crimson and red. Or also black, her skin will be black. And also like brownish, like a corpse, because she sits upon a corpse and she's emaciated in her skin and just skin and bones, yet ferocious, strong, and powerful. And that she may even smell of death. One with the rotting flesh. She represents your mortality. Think of yourself as dead and rotted. Imagine in your meditation, just see yourself. For she is, and that's like, oh my God, that's my own mortality. I better take care of myself. I'm not as immortal as I think, huh? Sometimes we think that we've been through so much that we think we're immortal. Think again. Maybe your spirit's immortal, but not your body. Your body's on borrowed time. And she'll rub your face in it too. She is a dark mother, and she's actually considered one of the crone goddesses. And I see that slowly in the Wiccan and witches, or especially in the Western witches, are coming to know her. She's a goddess of Tantra. And when you hear Tantra, oh, I'm celibate. Someone may say, I'm celibate. I can't do that. No. Because that's not always practice sex in Tantra. It really depends. Again, that's something I'm not going to be discussing. However, no. All because someone's tantric doesn't mean they practice sex magic. So, one of the most popular mantras that you'll hear, Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamunda Ye Viche Swaha, is used for Durga and Kali. But it's actually Chamunda's mantra. We also have another thing. Om Hum Chamundaye Namo Namaha. That is another one. And another is Om Chamundaye. Sorry, Om Chamundaye Kulu Kulu Svaha. And when you look at her in the Devi Gita, she has like a vision of a radiance, of a beautiful, bright radiance, like millions of suns mingled together with millions and millions of lightning bolts. Then this form, this vision is to inspire terror. Terror to your senses, your eyes, your ears, your heart, your very being. Even the deities who witnessed this screamed out in terror and fear. For when confronted with this vision, this form, this being of Chamunda, even the remembrance and memory of her goes away. She is fear's greatest fear. She is fear herself. Can you face deity like this? Can you face your own mortality? Can you see your own dead body rotting with the worms? For once you realize that your life is precious, that every day is a gift, maybe you'll live it better. And I know sometimes it's hard with people with depression, but remember, if your life is precious, then so you should treat it as precious. And remember that deity is good and kind and giving, but also ferocious and taking. For the goddess is giving and giving and giving, but as I say, that, sometimes it becomes exhausting. And the earth, the goddess, even the earth needs to take. And it's the mother who eats her own children. As we see that with the earth, we grow things in the soil for our animals, for ourselves, for our fruits and vegetables, and to nourish the flocks that we eat. And eventually, we are eaten. She is that vision, that stark terror. That not everything is rainbows and butterflies. And spirituality is not always being happy and positive. Ooh, I'm happy, I'm spiritual. I should always think of unicorns and rainbows. Yeah, woohoo. No, sometimes spirituality is like, I need to balance this energy, so get the fuck out of my face. I need to balance these energies. So try her mantra 108 times, and because for the 108 nadis in us, and you know, practice it for 7, maybe 10 days, and if it goes good with you, then do it for the full 40 days. Also, you can say Shakti Chamunda, Shakti or Chamunda, Shakti Chamunda. It's calling Chamunda. Shakti means I call you. Chamunda or Shakti Chamunda Devi, Shakti Chamunda Devi, Shakti Chamunda Devi. I call you. Do it with reverence. She is sometimes seeing her eyes of flame, residing in a cremation ground. She's also worshipped in places like that, and also where places were considered not kosher, unclean, in sometimes scary, as people would say, scary settings, amongst the dead burning bodies of the cremation ground. In the wild places where the wild things are, so is Chamunda. Chamunda, what can you give her? Depending, and especially among the Vaishnavi tradition, they're not going to give Chamunda bloody offerings. Maybe in the Chakta tradition. So it depends on how you, if you are a vegetarian, maybe you'll give her vegetarian stuff. But some people would just give her like offerings of goat meat, wine, give her red and beautiful red and black offerings. Figs, of course, because she hangs out with fig trees, right? Lotuses and red hibiscus. Blue lotuses, if you can get it. You have not red lotuses and different lotuses. Or the lilies, which is one of the family of the lotus flowers. Give her incense. Thick incense, like myrrh. Myrrh is great for her. Fiery incense, like dragon's blood. Dragon's blood resin. Give her dragon's blood liquid for replacement of blood. Red wine. And you could flick it on her image. The way to flick it on, this is a mudra. So you take flick the wine like that, and you would hold this. And this mudra is used to flick wine onto wrathful deities. So sometimes you will see her with this. Give her offerings of, chocolate is always good, and if they only accept, like certain days don't accept white chocolate, like white things, to give them white chocolate, but I never had problems with chocolate. But white chocolate's not really chocolate. They just call it white chocolate. Anyways, chocolate, spicy candies, honey. Honey's a good offering. Give her prayers and devotion and love. You can also like prick your finger with a diabetic lancet and just pour some blood on her offering. Those are just some of the ideas of what to give her. Let me show you a picture. I want to show you a picture. And I'm going to explain what she holds. This is a big book, so I kept it over here. So here. And this comes from an image made to her hundreds and hundreds of years ago in Rajasthan. It's in this book, the Shakti coloring book. And as you can see, there are yoginis, and sometimes they were seen with women with the heads. They take the heads of animals, and here we have a bird and like a rat. And here's a demon that she has subdued and conquered. And we see how emaciated she is. So that's just one image. There's another image of her that you could find, and she looks like something from The Evil Dead, or Ash versus The Evil Dead, like a Deadite. And she actually has a scorpion in her belly button. And like she deals, if you look at these animals, these could be very ferocious, and the snakes that she deals with are definitely vipers or venomous snakes. So she holds a Trishul, which is this, which is Shiva's trident. She holds a lightning bolt. Yes, lightning. Sword. This thing, I forgot what it is. This thing that uses to cut. Arrow. Bow. Shield. A staff with a skull. She holds a blood that it's actually a bowl, but it's a kapala, which is this. The kapala is a skull bowl, and sometimes it's just like a bowl, like part of it, and it's filled with blood that she drinks. The marrow, which is a drum that Shiva holds, that represents the universe as created, and the beat of the universe are Parvati and Shiva together, or Shiva Shakti together in this drum. Here she holds like a band, like a cloth, a banner. Severed heads, the tiger skin. And you see how she has these pants on, as you can see right here. And we see her head is fire. And she wears the high crown. And she holds the mudra I was telling you about. To flick the wine, and the shield. And each of these weapons have a meaning. And you can see each of the yoginis hold the blood to drink. And they also hold the thing to cut, to sever things. And here she is stepping on his back. But he looks kind of pleased, like happy that he's been dominated. And she wears these, and she's said to also have big ears. Even doesn't she look horrifying here? She is a goddess that can sever the ego, put you right. Another name for her is Ugra Chandi. Ugra means horrifying. Just think of the word ugly. Ugra. Ugra Chandi. Chandi is the ferocious goddess. Later on, as patriarchy came over, she was even considered less than Yama. Yama is the god of the dead, and his realm is in the south. But they tried to diminish, in some ways, tried to diminish the goddess, and nice try. So we see this goddess defying the patriarchy, where in the Devi Mahatmya, Devi Durga defeats Mahayasura, and she defeats Chanda and Munda, and she tells Durga, I offer this to you. And she says, I leave Nishumba and Shumba to you. And Kali defeats Raktabija, the demon, the blood demon. Another aspect that she comes from is Kaushiki, which is the when Shiva looked at Parvati and called her Blackie. She got so mad he called her Kali that she bathed and she did austerities that her sheath came off, and it was actually a war goddess. And she, when she gets angry, she creates through her brow Chamunda. Chamunda is also a goddess of war and fighting, offense and defense. She's a goddess of explosion and fire. She's a goddess of anger. And now either that could be used as angry or righteous anger. And remember, she is the personification of death. Chamunda to me is beautiful. And remember, during this pandemic, she is the goddess of pandemics and epidemics. So she can cause them and protect you from them. So as Dr. Sir Ramakrishna Gopal Bandekar said, she was originally a tribal goddess, which is true. She was originally a tribal goddess. Now, at times, she's even associated with the god, the fire god Agni. He is literally the god of fire. So, also she also is the goddess as Chamunda can also be seen as the power of almost like suffering. But through suffering and pain, we also build the yogic fire. That's why some people do the austerities and they do painful positions. Again, that's just too much of a broad subject to get into. So she is a fire goddess, and she is a dark goddess, a crone goddess, a vicious, ferocious war goddess. So what else do I want to talk about her? She is one who can stun and use the power of fear, and also to learn how to deal with your fear. So when I talk to you about the braided, the matted hair, it's called a jata mukta. Mukuta, a jata mukuta. And sometimes even the crescent moon is present in her hair. So she's seated upon a corpse, and we see that as unclean, not pure in some traditions. But she defies those things. She completely defies those things. The owl has been traditionally like a witch's bird, but also a wisdom bird. But some traditions, like even among the peoples, among the Navajo, if you have an owl feather in your car, they won't even get in that. Into that vehicle, until the owl feather is removed, because sometimes the owl is even seen as a bringer of death. What a powerful vehicle, huh? The owl. And also deals with witches, as you know. So the Mahatmya also says how Chamunda emerged as Chandika Jayasundara. Chandika Jayasundara. From the eyebrows of the goddess, like I said, Kaushiki. So other things, you know, she has other stories of being ferocious and violent. So she's with the Matrikas, and the Matrikas were also said to assist the god Ganesha to slay the demons, according to the Devi Purana. So you got different Puranas, you got different stories, you got so if it all depends on the scriptures that you're reading. So she teaches supernatural powers. She will help you develop psychic powers. She will also teach you how to develop magical powers and how to control it. She will teach you how to control yourself and how in different spellcraft. So if you yearn the occult mystical arts, Chamunda is a goddess for you. She will teach you about your inner power and how to control things around you. She will teach you the arts of yoga and tantra. She will teach you how to deal with things, to become better than what you are. But she also will teach destructive magic too, if that's what you want to learn. So she can help you with different magical gains or how to destroy things, good or bad. And that's on you. So a Chamunda, in certain contexts, she is part like the 7 yoginis. the 64 yoginis, even 81 yoginis. And there's also a group of, like I said, 64. Sometimes enumerate even as 60. So it all depends. It all depends. So remember, sometimes life is not full of honey. Sometimes has vinegar. So when we need to fight, when we need to take control of things, we become Chamunda. And when we need to see the beauty in things, we could become the sweet goddess, like Mahaguri, the golden, effulgent goddess. So I do want to thank you for listening to this long video. And yes, there are Chamunda Devi temples. Yes, there are different Chamunda Devi statues. But, you know, when you see her with holding two heads, you definitely know, especially violent, that's usually an indication of Chamunda. And like here again, you see her with the skull staff, the staff with the skull on it. Thank you for watching this, and there's so much to learn about Chamunda. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like my video, or dislike if you disliked it. Subscribe and share this video. And as always, Jai Ma, thank you for watching. Thank you to all the beautiful people who watch this and all the beautiful subscribers I have. I appreciate you. Blessed be. And this is beautiful altar cloth. I got this in honor of doing this Chamunda video. I bought this just for her. And this was a gift given to me. And I wanted to use this for her. And I keep this on the Kali altar now, so keep her on the Kali altar. And you could put her on the Kali altar or the Durga altar or your Hindu altar. But thank you for watching. Blessed be.